If I'm supporting BJP, I don't care about Congress. When you're in business, you need to make sure you maintain the relationship with both parties. I will say stay away from the politicians. In the end, what sells is the quality of the product.
What are some pinpointed opportunities that you would build in 2025?
The requirement is very simple. If I have an opportunity, I will do another chip, which is built for AI. Problem is for a lot of these young people, so this is not the kind of project which they will do.
You mentioned a couple of times that money was not your, motivation for quite some time, but you sold the last company for $2 billion.
When I'm doing the startup after startup, people used to ask me how much money you're going to spend in all your life. The thing is that your desire never ends. If the purpose of the life is just making money, I don't think it's the right purpose, at least from my point of view.
I know you got this house for 10 million.
You don't look at it from the money perspective.
Okay.
It's an investment. Sure, it's an investment. Is it worth investment? I don't know the answer to that because I don't look at the ROI perspective.
How much is enough for the next generation?
My calculations, which I did, is more than enough.
Is there a crazy lobbying story that you heard?
India used to have a very poor lobby. Finally, I think we got some lobbyists. These are young people. They start working with the senators. Just recently, we have a bill passed in California to make Diwali as a national holiday.
This is all legally done? Hi everyone, I'm your host Shivank and we are part of the 01 Network by Zerodha. Together, we intend to bring you insights from the top thinkers in the field of entrepreneurship, technology, and investing. You mentioned that John Chambers, the founder of Cisco, had amazing sales skills. And he had amazing network. Mm-hmm. Can you think of a very interesting story or a sales lesson, maybe a 5-minute masterclass on sales that you learned from John sir?
One thing which is very important is every product which we have, he will come and ask us to train me and tell me exactly why we designed it, how it was designed, what's the benefit you have, and what is the use case. That is typically what a salesperson will go and try to sell. So we had to make sure that all that thing we prepared and we make sure that he gets it. And then he will ask a bunch of questions during this particular process. So that's one quality of John, which is really good because sometimes, we say, John, we met this particular person. He says, yeah, I know the name of the person. He will tell us the name of the person, which is really very interesting. Say, for example, I'll give you one example. When we were trying to, sell a product to Goldman Sachs. So he will come and he will make a pitch to Goldman Sachs. Why? And he will go and tell the high level, this is the product these guys are building and why you should be buying this particular product and deploying it in your environment. And then he will give them all the, things like we will stand behind it. We will not walk away from the products. If there is any issue comes up, Cisco used to have this critical accounts thing. So they will, raise to a flag. So that critical means it has to respond within a couple of hours, and stuff like that. So John built really very good system of supporting and stuff like that. So he will go to the Goldman Sachs and invite the people. And then he will go and say, okay, what do you like about this? You tell me now. I gave you the pitch. You tell me what you liked about this particular thing. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what is missing. And that is something very few people can do that. And he's not afraid of talking to the audience. He's not afraid of speaking his mind. And he picks up stuff like this, snaps. And we have so many products, but he can zoom on the one which is now trying to sell at that particular point. So Goldman Sachs people, they will ask questions. And if he can't answer himself, he will point to one of us and says, Prem, why don't you answer this particular question? So he's also another very precise thing. He will not pretend that he knows everything, which is a great quality of a leader. Okay, if you don't know, you get the expert and let the expert answer that particular question. Or he will say, if he doesn't have the expertise and stuff, I'll come back to you on this one. I'll take it in check or, we'll answer that to you later. He is very good in communication. He remembers things, which is also very good. So he will not forget, like last time when you met with this particular person, what did he say and what he said. He's like a very sharp memory, and those are a very good quality of John. And he's a very friendly person.
Is there a specific quality of maintaining relationship with two extremes of the world? How do you do that? How can you be friends with Republicans and can be friends with Democratic?
When you're in business, you don't know which president or which government is going to be there. So you have to first is you need to be honest that you're Republican or you're Democrats. So he is known in the industry that he's a Republican. But Democrats also work with him. One is because when Democrats are in power, he helped them as much as he will do a Republican. He said, look, whosoever is in power, I need to make sure that I do the right thing, which is right for the people, right for the group, and right for the country in the end. I think that's his motivation. See, Republican or Democrats, we want to sell to Senate, right? Need to sell Senate, you have to sell the quality of the products, you need to sell your value and stuff. At that particular time, you don't say, I'm a Republican, that's the reason you need to buy it because now it's a Republican administration. It doesn't work that way. Particularly when you're in business, you need to be neutral. When time comes to vote, you declare that I'm a Republican, I'll vote Republican. And that works fine. As long as you're honest, thing works.
If a young person wants to build a great business, how much impact will he have or not have from having great political relations? And what's the mastercraft? What's the best understanding of download of building your political connections if you have to build a big business?
Depending on the business you are in, if you're not going to sell to that particular market, to politicians or the state government, or in the end, what sells is the quality of the product and their needs are. That's what you need to make sure that you match. But having a relationship helps you after that. So if you're not going to sell in that particular segment of the market, I will say stay away from the politicians and stay away from, because they will slow you down, okay? Anytime you want to sell to the government, you have to go through the tenders or you need to go through all that process, which is what it is, which is a rightly so because they want to make sure that they're fair to others in that particular sense. But if you are in that particular business where you're dealing with that and stuff like that, it's better to have a good relationship with, you don't know which party is going to be in the government. You need to make sure you maintain the relationship, you maintain the reasonable relationship with both parties. And one way to do this is you contribute to both of them in the election. Okay. You say, okay, I will contribute to Republican, I will contribute to Democrats. It doesn't matter who wins in that. So you play a neutral role. A little bit of that.
Giving them capital or giving them donation is the only way. Let's say if I have zero.
No, giving them time, giving them help in the, during when they're running or when they're running the government, he helped across the board. John was the advisor. Currently he's advisor to Modi. He's advisor to the French president. He's also advisor to him, giving advice on startups and giving advice in India also startups. He's also the chairperson for US-India Strategic Business Council, which is he's running. So when you are such a successful business people, sometimes he has to go in the Congress and give, they will ask, okay, how this thing, how the networking industry is doing. You need to update the Congress people. So he has to go and do that. He built relationship with all the head of the leaders of the different countries also. When he went to China, because we do a lot of business in China. So China has a policy that 50% of the product which some company buys in China has to be local, right? And 50% you can buy from outside. Now, how do you play your card in that particular environment?
Wherever you go, you're building relationship with the top heads of the country. What's the insight there? How do you do that?
The way you do it is you find out something going on where you insert yourself. So for example, this G7 summit just happened, right? In Canada.
Oh, Canada. Okay.
So you know that all these people, all the leaders, they would like to meet the leaders of the businesses when they come to these kind of conferences. And that thing is not public. It's done on the side. So when Modi comes here, he wants to meet with all the leaders in Silicon Valley. So he will come and meet with those guys. You make sure that you get invited. If you're very, very popular, they will invite you. But if you're not, you need to find a way to know somebody who can say, yes, you can be invited to this particular meeting because,
Is there a crazy lobbying story that you heard while being here, sir?
there's a lot of lobbying story. You have to be in Washington, D.C. to hear more than here. India used to have a very poor lobby. Finally, I think we got some lobbyist who's really going after the India thing. One of the biggest thing I'll tell you is the immigration. We try to make sure that the people who have a job, they lose their job, and and then 3 months they say, pack your baggage and go. 90 days if you don't find anything because you don't have a green card, what you do? So we talked to the lobbyist, we talked to a bunch of people. There's a person, if you're looking for something like this, a Democrat, Ajay Butaria. He's a Jain, by the way. He was the chairperson for DNC, Democratic National Committee, doing fundraising and stuff like that. So he's also, we use him to go and solve this immigration problem. We have a visa problem. Remember I was telling you that those 9 kids, the visa got denied. So we're going to work on it now, finding some lobbyists to say, guys, we need to have State Department, need to check with us before they reject these kind of things. They're coming as a guest of JAINA or Jito. You need to trust that we are not going to bring these people and they will stick around here.
How do these lobbyists work, sir?
Lobbyist is a very interesting thing. These are young people. They start working with a congressman or with the senators. They work them as an intern. Then the intern, they start building the connections. Then they work with the other Indian organization, like, India associations. JAINA is not in politics that much, so we don't have any lobbyists. But India Foundation, they have a bunch of lobbyists. They fund them, and you pay them, and that's the way they live. And then they make sure that the Congress, if you need to, for example, just recently we have a bill passed in California state to make Diwali as a national holiday, particularly for California state. The bill got passed. So Kalra and this woman Darshana, these are the two the assembly member. They basically proposed the bill. And then the lobbyist, there's Anurag, there is a couple of people, they work with all the other. And then these Congress people, they meet with their fellows, they meet with other fellows, they have meetings. That's where they spend most of the time. You go on the floor, they do nothing on the floor. All the thing is done behind the scene. Floor is just come and vote.
It's completely like the House of Cards thing.
Yes. And so they work around it, and finally it got passed. Now it has to pass through the Senate.
This is all legal? This is all legally done?
This is all legal.
Very interesting. And how much did you need to pay to the lobbies to get the California state?
Depending upon how much time he's spending.
That ranges from?
Ranges from simple like $5,000 to $20,000 to $50,000. It varies.
If you were young, you see so many opportunities that you would have, rided or leveraged on. If a young person comes to you, or you see a very, sharp young person who's looking for opportunities, because what happens is generally concrete ideas come to those who have subject matter expertise into a subject. But young people have the energy, time, and capability to do that. But sometimes they lack the subject matter expertise. With your understanding, what are some pinpointed opportunities that you would build in 2025 if you were a 22-year-old?
So there are two things here, which is, we come from a background of networking, right? So most of the things we think about, because we understand the networking business, network market, because we grew in that particular part of the business. So what I was thinking about is that if I have an opportunity, I will do another chip, which is built for AI, because currently people are using all the networking technologies which was developed not for AI, but developed for other applications. And the requirements is very different. In the AI, the requirement is very simple. You required bandwidth, you required very low latency, and you required very cost-effective solution and very high speed, very, very high speed. So for example, when we are doing switches, we were doing 100 gig, 400 gig. Now you're talking about 1.6 terabits. So now you say, okay, can I do a 400 ports, 1.6 terabit switch? Problem is for a lot of these young people, they never design a chip They don't know. So this is not the kind of project which is they will do. This is the kind of project the people we have experience, and we understand this particular business, and we know where to go, what to do, who to get these technologies from. We can do it. If you don't do it, you encourage some people who are in the industry to make that happen. The next thing for startups, for people who are coming straight from school, then you look for them is, okay, what are the opportunities? So there is a big opportunities doing something using leveraging AI. So a lot of people, what they're doing, and I'll give you some of the examples, which is, I thought was a great idea. There's one person, he wants to take, replace the tutor, which is you have, and replace with AI. So think AI becomes a tutor. If you are just graduated from college and you have good knowledge of writing programs, particularly Python, so knowledge of Python is a must. So people who are thinking this particular thing, they will, if they don't have the knowledge and they're business people, they will hire somebody who can write Python. They will hire somebody who understands how to leverage the model. They will hire somebody who will understand how to write this tutor replacement. So in this case now, how do you start this particular thing? So first is, there is a need for tutor. Okay, there's no if and but about it. Can I make it very cost effective? Because if I do a tutor based on AI, it's available 24/7. So I'm not limited to timing of a person, and person is available. We are available anywhere globally in the world. So you can understand that your market horizon is much bigger than that teacher who's teaching this particular thing, right? Now you say what it takes to make it happen. And that's where you need to start analyzing it. So idea is good because I can tell him, okay, replace a tutor with your technology. But how do you make it happen? Replace an agent with these technologies. See, India mein itne sare insurance agent hai, you cannot follow them because AI can give you better answer than those insurance agent is going to provide you. So all these are capabilities. For example, I was telling even our people who is working on Gozo, abhi kitna complicated to have front end. I need to fill out my name, I need to fill out this, what kind of car I need, where I'm going to, what city, what kind of car. He said, look, get my profile. You then ask question, where are you going? And then suggest me the car which is available, which suits my needs. I don't need to go and fill it out, my credit card, I don't need to fill it out this, I don't need to fill it out. So I'm telling them, make just a simple English language in the front. That itself is a big value add. Because and the advantage you have is that you make me as a loyal customer. Because then I'm willing to give you the information, right? So it's a catch-22 scenario. Because if you're just blank, why should I give you the information, right?
And unless you won't give me the information,
you will not be able to do
good job.
You say, I can do this. If you become concierge members, say for example, because I have all your information, so I can give you the best deal. So you don't need to fill out anything. I have all the information. And then you need to convince him your information will be all secure. It will be in a safe wallet, all encrypted, whatever it is. So that's the way I think things starts. So people start thinking, I'll tell you the biggest problem which is we face is parking lots, right? How much time you spend in finding a parking in a parking lots? I don't know, nowadays, some of the parking lots, you see it, 3 spots left in this one. And they put this LEDs, so the light is, red is taken. If light is green, so you can right away see there is a green light. You can go and park there. That is particularly when the parking spaces are organized and it's a parking lots. Think about parking in universities. You go in universities, you're running around and figuring it out, this parking lot is full, this parking lot you're not allowed to park. So now people are developing these parking applications. So you go and find your location. You just put your details, informations, and they tell you pay $2 per hour, $30 per hour, whatever it is, and then your parking is going. Again, it's based upon location, using AI behind the scene, collecting all that information and providing you this service. So these are all very simple. For example, TA in the classroom. People are very busy. Finding a TA or professors even teaching, it's a pain, right? So can I be expert in that particular course? So I train my AI model based upon the course. And then I do this. There's so many things in security you can do. Nothing is secure. So every day there is a security breach goes on and all that kind of thing. So you can also work with the, again, the important thing is here is that once you get this idea, make a list. Who's your top 10 customer is going to be? Go and talk to 1 or 2 customers. Or if it's consumer market, who's my top 10 buyer will be initially, who really think they will need this particular thing. You go and talk to them and then validate your concept.
So you mentioned the importance of traveling. You visited 84 countries. If a young person talks to you, sir, I have zero capital and I have insane desire to travel. Please tell me, you mentioned that, you got this thing in Germany where you used to, you got to work and open this engine, right?
Yeah.
How are you able to get it then? And if a young person comes with zero capital and he wants to travel the world, what would you recommend?
Again, I think is the connection. The way we were able to get it is two sources we had.
Okay.
One was the friend of mine who was going with me. He was working in the army. So he had a connection in the industry. So you have to leverage that particular connections. Now, if you don't know anybody who does not have the connections, then you need to figure it out. What are the places? Do some search. Because now with internet, there are a lot of things are possible. Says, I want to do a summer job or looking for internship. It's no different than looking for internship when you come here as a fresh graduate. So you identify the companies. You say which companies are coming into my colleges where I can interview and see if I can find a job. If you're doing very well, your professor will recommend you to a number of companies, which is he knows. So there's many different ways but you need to try it. It's not like nobody is going to be a spoon feeding to you. So you need to think about it. What are the potential possibility? How do you break the ice? So we call it icebreaker. How do you break this particular ice? Once you get one time, next time will be much easier for you.
And so I want to understand about, you mentioned a couple of times that money was not your, motivation for quite some time. But you sold so many companies, right? And the last company you sold for $2 billion. What is one understanding of money that you had it after you sold your company? I know you got this house for 10 million. It's a 25-year-old house. But what are other things that you did? And what were some learnings from the actions that you did after having so much money?
The thing is that, you don't look at it from the money perspective.
Okay.
The majority of the money which I have is going to go for some charity work, one way or the other. Okay. Or some investment, which is, I want to make it so that it can help that particular person and stuff like that. I was not looking for, and then both of my sons, I told them that, I will give them enough so they don't need to worry about anything for their life cycles. Okay. But they need to still do their work and they need to still learn, because otherwise, they'll say, oh, dad ne paisa kamaya and I can use it and I don't need to do anything.
Baap ke cash pe aish.
Yes. So not to do those kind of things. So the thing which is, for me, was the motivation was, I never looked at it from that particular point of view. When I'm doing the startup, after startup, people used to ask me, you made enough money in the last one. How much money are you going to spend in all your life? I said, then they asked the question, how much you really spend per year? I said, okay, fine, you have enough. You have enough for 7 generations. You have enough for 6 generations. How much can you spend? We all eat the same thing. And you can have a fancy car, you can have, house fancy here and there. Maybe some people have planes. The thing is that your desire never ends. So you need to put your desire, what is really necessary for me to do my job. And if it is necessary, then I need to make sure that I have that. So for example, a lot of people ask me, you have such a big house. You have 2 people living there. I said, look, I have these guests coming from India. Most of the times we have 3 or 4 rooms are occupied. Okay. I said, if I don't have it, they will be sleeping on the floor. Now it's an investment. Sure, it's an investment. Is it worth investment? I said, I don't know the answer to that, because I don't look at the ROI perspective. I look at it as a convenience to make sure last minute I have this family. There were 3 couples in the family. They said, they're coming on this particular side. I said, fine, home is welcome as long as you don't mind staying with us. Because some people want to have independence. I said, if you want that, then obviously you do whatever you want. So you need to think about the purpose. And in the life, majority of people forget the purpose. If the purpose of the life is just making money, I don't think is the right purpose, at least from my point of view. Purpose in the life is, first is, making it sure that you achieve what you're trying to achieve. Second is make sure who's in your surroundings.
They should be happy.
They should be happy. They should be leveraging whatever you can help them to make it happen. Third is people who are not able to afford education, can you help them to get to education, get to the better colleges? So, if somebody cannot afford to come to US and you say, okay, I will sponsor this one particular person and I'll pay his fees. If he can return, it's great. If he does not return, that's fine too. So those kind of things is what is more important than, worrying about because you can always say, if I have $10 million, you say, okay, instead of living in the house, which is you appreciate whatever the house is appreciating. But maybe you can put in some NVIDIA stock. That would have multiplied by 4 times. That's it. You can dream all those kind of things. But in reality, I think the most important is stay content with what you have. Very important, because this 99 thing will never end. And you can always keep on climbing up.
So, for example, if a person who sells his startup for, a big amount of money, how will he or she decide how much is enough for the next generation?
If you're living in this country, assuming that you have your kids and their grandkids and all that kind of thing, what will be the right amount of money? So I will say my calculations, which I did, this was about 80 years ago, is what they will be having, and they can probably live in some constrained environment and stuff. But that is about between $15 to $20 million. Okay, that should be more than enough. And the reason I did is that if you assume you can make 5% return,
they're good to go.
You're very good to go for most of the time, because $1 million is more than enough for you to, even after paying taxes, whatever 30%, 40% tax you're going to pay, it should be more than enough. Now, if you can do better, then it's even better for you. Now, then with your own income and your wife's spouse's income and stuff like that, you should be able to do good. On top of it, I said, okay, fine. If their kids are going to go to school, I will take care of their expenses on the school side. So they go to private schools, okay, we'll pay for it. Go to some good colleges, education will take care of it as a grandparents. Those are the only 2 things. Now, if you're in India, I was thinking, what is the amount required in India? Who can get 3 lakhs rupees a month? Okay, he should be able to live a recent, even renting 50,000 rupees house, or 100 or even 1 lakh, assuming that's the case. With 3 lakhs, this was again 80 years ago.
So for 3 lakhs, 5% would be 6 crores. So if you have 6 crores,
6 crores, you put in the fixed deposit, you're done. So that was the number for
$1 million.
Or now 6 crores, maybe 12 crores.
Makes sense. So, you mentioned purpose of life. One thing that I've learned is purpose of life is also to gain experiences, sir. You're an all-round personality guy. You have traveled to 84 countries. You play sport. You hike. You've done Half Dome Bay twice.
I've done Half Dome. I've done Mount Whitney.
Okay.
I've done Machu Picchu.
Uh-huh.
I've done Grand Canyon.
Oh, Arizona.
Yeah, down and up. And the 2 in my bucket list, which is I need to do it still. One is Mount Kailash, and the second one is circle around Mount Kailash, the first one at the bottom. And the second one is Kilimanjaro.
Wow. And because you are one of the big proponents of hitchhiking. You have done that in your 20s. You're giving those experiences to the 12 kids of Jain community who are coming. They are visiting the Tesla factory. They are meeting successful people. If a person is outside those 12 people and he wants to understand and do some experiences, what are some 5 top experiences you would recommend to have in early 20s?
So one is they need to think about independence. Okay? They need to be independent, not dependent upon anything. So when I was trying to do this, I could have asked my dad, give me the money, I want to travel Europe and I want to, not that. Second thing they need to think about is they need to stand on their own feet. They need to make sure they're capable of, making themselves better than whatever their reference point is. Okay? And they need to think about it, because things won't happen unless they start thinking what is the right way. Third is any failure, never give up and understand why it failed. and then trying to figure it out what they could have done it to solve that particular issue, or if there is a workaround, or is something which is not possible, then forget about that particular thing, find some other track. Very important is learn as much as possible, education, experience.
But what are some unique experiences that they should have in early 20s, sir? Specific experiences.
Very specific experiences. One is definitely college.
Okay.
And make as many friends in the college as possible. Make sure you learn as fast as possible. Now, these days, a lot of people are thinking about doing a startup. If you can get that and if you can afford to do it, think about the idea. Think about putting a team together. See if you can make that work at a very early stage. I mean, this guy I was telling you, Pixel, he was in third year.
I'm going to Earth Observation Lab, Aviz Ahmed. So, and you mentioned, yeah, he's an amazing and super smart guy.
The other experience, I think, which is important is, work as a summer intern somewhere. Get that practical experience in a company or the area which is you are interested in down the road. Say, I wanted to go in building satellites. So go find a satellite company and start working on it. Or somebody says, I want to be a doctor in a hospital. Go work in a hospital at a very early age. 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, go and find a doctor which is willing to train you. This practical training and get that business experience is what most of the people are missing, okay, when they're growing up. You say, okay, I don't know anything about finance. What do you mean by you don't know anything about finance? You're spending money. Somebody is giving you money. You should learn the finance, very basic math, to say, this is what the money I'm getting, this is the money I'm spending. Do the balancing act, and then figuring it out, the source of income. So people have to have the business mind. They need to start thinking that if I need to make a business, or decide your track. I have a different advice for people who wants to take a professional track. I want to be an IAS officer. It's a different track. What says, I want to be a successful businessman. It's a different track. I want to have my own company. I want to be CEO I want to be CEO of a big company. That's another track. So they need to make up their mind, and may not be what they want to do. See, I'll tell you my story. When I was growing up, I said I want to be a pilot. That was my dream. I said, these people flying the plane, I don't know how they fly and stuff like that. Once I started learning about it, I said, well, that's not for me. So then I was thinking about going into teaching. I said, maybe I can make students better and teach them better than what I saw going into school and colleges and stuff like that. So I said, fine. That's the reason I said, okay, I'll do my PhD. So I'll teach in the universities and stuff like that. I didn't know my destiny because of that one professor going to this particular direction. I didn't even have a slightest idea, even though my father always used to tell me, that if you are growing up, you better be doing your own business than doing a service for somebody else. He always used to tell me, even up to the point that when I was getting my first job, he was still there and he was telling me, I can pay you more than what you're going to get in a job.
क्यों कर रहे हो किसी की नौकरी?
He said, do business and help business. And when I was telling you, business is declining, all that, okay, find another business. Business people are always looking for other opportunities.
Super opportunistic, huh?
Yeah. So, but, the destiny was different. So sometimes you don't go exactly what you're thinking, but you need to be practical enough to make sure this is good for me. And, again, I changed from pilot to teaching. Then I never had an idea I will be a CEO of a company. I never even dream. A lot of people dream when they're young. Says, I want to be CEO of Microsoft. Sure, you can be the CEO of Microsoft. Then you have to find a path to go to this particular level, and you need to rise very fast. Because otherwise, by the time you reach to the senior VP, and if you're very old, nobody will make you a CEO. So I think these tracks are pretty much in what people want to do and what they have. Most important thing, they need to be motivated to do something.